Hi guys, welcome to episode 32 of Knits and Stuff. Today is Sunday, May 30th, and my name is Alicia. And today I'll be talking about finished objects and works in progress. And I think that's going to be about it this week's episode. Because I don't have any pretty things, although I do have something on the way. It hasn't arrived yet, and I'm sure I'll have plenty the next time I record, because by then I will have gone to and from the UK, so that's why I don't have too much to talk about this week, because I'm getting ready for my trip. But I am excited, and I'm going to try and go to as many yarn stores as I can for it. But yeah, that's besides the point. Before we start talking about any knitting, welcome to those of you that are new. This is not a typical introduction. And thanks for those of you that are returning. If you haven't already, there's a group on Ravelry that you can join, which is called Knits and Stuff Podcast, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes, which are at knitsandstuff.wordpress.com. As well as everything else that I talk about will be over there. So yeah, let's get started. So I have one finished object this week and I am wearing it. I'm finally done with The Hitchhiker by Martina Ben, and I'll take it off to show it to you. It's fairly large. I knit this out of Miss Babs Yowza What a Skein in the colorway First Dibs, and as you can see, it is longer than my wingspan. But that is what it looks like. I had so the pattern normally calls for a fingering weight, but I chose to make it out of a worsted weight after seeing an example at Stitches West at Miss Babs' booth. She had one. There was one knitted up out of Yowza What a Skein. So I decided to pick one up and knit my own Hitchhiker. So I didn't have enough for the full 42 points, but I did make it to 39, and as you can see, it's plenty big enough. This is where I was last time, and so I finished this much, since including the cast off, which was made a lot easier with a crochet hook, I have to say. Normally I'm kind of lazy and I don't cast off with a crochet hook, but for something as long as this, I wanted to use a crochet hook because I figured it would be a little bit faster and less tedious, so made it a little bit easier. Yeah. I think, did I say I knit these out of US 7s, 4.5 millimeters, and I am happy with it. It's nice and squishy. I didn't block it because it's just garter stitch and doesn't really need a blocking, but it's interesting. So in real life, the colors don't really appear to pool, but you can kind of see some pooling in the camera, which is interesting. But also a note on that, I thought it was kind of neat how, like, once I got to the longer rows, the shawl or the knitted fabric was more green, but then towards the beginning with the shorter rows, it kind of appears more tan and grayish, purplish, that color. So that's interesting, and you can see side by side how green this one is and how gray that one is. But yeah, so that's my finished object. Yay. See if I can put this back on. But yeah, so that's finished objects, and then I have works in progress. So I'm still working on I'm working on the Henslow shawl by Beth King, and that's where I was last time. And this is out of Malabrigo Machita in the colorway Pearl, and I have done almost all of the lace repeat. I have one more repeat left. I guess there's only 4, so I have one more left, and then I get to do the edging. And these I'm knitting on US 4s, 3.5 millimeters, and these are my Adi Natura clicks, the interchangeable needles. So this is actually going pretty quickly to get through, I guess because it's a pretty small shawl. It's almost like more like a shawlette. And yeah, the lace pattern isn't that difficult, which I thought it would be. Looking at it makes it look more complicated than it actually is. So, and it's pretty easy, not to necessarily, well, you could be able to memorize it, but I think there are enough rows in it where I wouldn't be able to. But you can memorize a row easily and then just go ahead and like knit that whole row, and then without having to refer to the pattern. So that's nice. So that's coming along, and I don't know if I'll be able to finish this before my trip, but I know I'm not going to be able to bring it on my trip, which is why I started something new, which I will show you. Oh, and I did some modifications on this too, which I still haven't put in my Ravelry page, but I picked up stitches with a larger needle, and I'm slipping the first stitch of each row in this section instead of knitting it for a cleaner border, because that was what some of the other people who have knit it suggested. And I'm weighing each section as I go to figure out if I'll have enough left. But comparing it to someone else's project, I should have plenty to finish the edging of it. So yeah, I don't know if I made any other, I don't think I made any other modifications other than that. So yeah, so that's coming along. And then I cast on something new. So, oh, and I'm keeping this in a bag that I still haven't finished sewing yet. But it's going to be a drawstring bag when I put a drawstring in it and sew a little. I just have to sew it already has the hole for the drawstring. I just need to sew around and then get an actual drawstring to, to finish it. But I haven't gotten around to that yet. So I started something new, and let me grab it. So this is the Quaker Yarn Stretcher Boomerang by Susan Ashcroft, and I'm knitting this out of Freya Fine Hand Paints in the colorway South Beach, and it's on US 7s, 4.5 millimeters, the same as I knit my hitchhiker on. And I'm just starting the section, or the beginning of the shawl. It's a pretty simple pattern. It was free for a knit along, but I think now it's a paid for pattern. And I'm doing some modification. This is the yarn, and that color is a little it's a little washed out. It's kind of bright in here, so that's probably why I might be a little washed out. But so I'm knitting, I'm doing a different pattern repeat frequency, I guess. One of the other people who had knit this out of the same yarn, actually in the same color, did a pretty neat I guess modification to the pattern, where they did the sets of repeats instead of like a continuous, I don't want to give too much away, but instead of a continuous like garter bump rows, they did a couple and then knit for a while, and then knit in stockinette for a while, and then did a couple more. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And yeah, it's an interesting construction. I haven't quite memorized the pattern yet. It's just, I guess, going from knitting this one to knitting this shawl, the increases are different, so I'm still getting used to that part, and then the edging's a little bit different too. So yeah, but this will be my plain knitting. I'll have this, and then I'm also going to rip out and I think start a sock head hat. I had done I started a hat which I showed like many episodes ago, and I don't think I'm liking how it's turning out in the colorway that it is, so I think I'm gonna rip it out and then just make a sock head hat out of it. Blah, blah, blah. A sock head hat out of it instead, because I think it'll go a lot better with the stockinette stitch. So I'll have that for plain knitting too, and travel knitting. So hopefully I won't have any trouble with my needles. But I think they'll be, yeah, the other ones are wooden too, so should be okay. Yeah, and so that's all the knitting I have, and I don't really have too much else to talk about. I'll have a bunch of pretty things, like I said, next week, or next 2 weeks from now, hopefully. I might be really tired and I might not be able to record in 2 weeks, but I will I'll make a note in Ravelry if I can't record. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. I'll have a lot more to talk about next time, I'm sure, and more knitting and hopefully spinning. I haven't showed any spinning recently, so I didn't want to start anything before I left, now that I'm like leaving soon. So so when I come back I'll have some stuff. But yeah, just a short show today, all about knitting. Social media stuff, I'm Eliana Knits on Ravelry, Unperfect529 on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, etc. And yeah, come join the group, Knits and Stuff Podcast, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks, hopefully. Okay, bye!